This Homebrew channel's got a new Homebrew house rules video. I got a brand new random encounter system, a way to attune to magic items that actually makes sense, how to not be a jerk when you're handing out experience, and if you're feeling lucky, I got a fix for that lucky feat. All that and more in this Homebrew house rules part 2. Now roll it. Welcome to the Dungeon Coach. I'm the Dungeon Coach. I'm gonna help lower that DC in your game and give you some cool homebrew rules you can tweak and add to your game. And to help you guys out, I have downloadable PDF documents over on the DMs Guild as pay what you want. I put all the homebrew rules from this video along with the first video in one document that'll be down in the description. Anytime one of my own homebrews is heavily inspired by another D&D YouTuber, I want to give him credit where credit's due. Luke Hart over at the DMs Layer did a whole video of his random encounter system. I really loved it and it got me thinking. And just like I'd want you to do with my homebrews, I took it and ran with it. Now I have changed it up a lot and really made it my own, and I really love where it's at now. So here we go. So first thing up here is my D12 Encounter System. For the sake of this example, let's say we have 4 players, and that time of the game comes up where there's a chance for a random encounter. Each of those 4 players grabs a D12 and rolls it, and the DM takes his own D12 and rolls it behind the screen, or in front of the screen if you're feeling spicy. A random encounter will happen if one of the players' numbers matches the DM. So for some quick math here, 4 players rolling a D12 have about a 33% chance to match the DM. And I kind of like where that number is. But wait, there's more. Let's say your party wanders into a more dangerous area and you want to up the tension and up that chance for a random encounter to actually happen. There's a lot of things you can change here, but what I do is I change that D12 encounter die to a D10 or a D8 or a D6. If things are really dangerous or they're being hunted down, I'll even have it be a D4. So if 4 players roll a D4 and you roll a D4, that's a 100% chance. Now, I am a math teacher, and it has been a while since I've been in the classroom, but you guys get the idea. What I'm trying to say is you as the DM can pull the strings and decide where that percentage is. I'm a huge fan of how customizable this system is, and I love how it engages all the players at the table and they feel a part of it. So here's a couple ideas I've used to change things up. If you want to keep everything in D12 mode, you can change the amount of D12s. Based on a skill challenge leading up to it, a group check, an individual check, you could have different players roll more or less dice. The clunky paladin in heavy armor, he'd roll 2 D12s. That sneaky ranger moving through the environment all smooth wouldn't even roll a D12. Or you as the DM, as things get more dangerous, could roll more and more D12s. Myself personally, I like the feel of the dice changing themselves, and I feel like that gets across the point of danger more. Or you can combine both systems together. Time out. What I'm about to say here is controversial. At the end of the day, no matter who's rolling what kind of dice, your encounter die that they have to match is behind your screen. So you do have the final say as a DM if that encounter actually happens or not. Fudging rolls, how dare you? Whew, I know this is a hot topic and I'd want to do a whole video on this, but all I'm saying is if you as the DM know that your players are in the perfect spot for that final encounter and they've been worn down just enough and you don't feel like you'd want to beat them down any further and they're in that exact right spot, or for real life reasons, if you only have about an hour time left and that's the perfect amount of time for that final encounter and end on a high note, maybe you don't want to have that random encounter to really screw things up, but your players would never know and it keeps that tension high. Just throwing it out there. But my true stance on fudging dice rolls would be its own video. Okay, so here's an example of something cool I've done using this system. My party was being hunted down by a group of bounty hunters while they were on a mission. So at certain points during their adventure, I have them make an encounter check. But this time I would roll that D12 out in the open. I really wanted to give my players the feeling that they were being hunted. So I had them roll all their dice first and see what numbers they all got. Then I got my D12 and rolled it in the middle of the table. As soon as they failed the next time, I had them roll D10s. This continued happening throughout their adventure until they got to that D4. I never told them exactly what would happen, but they got the picture, and it was really cool to see them sweat every time I asked for that encounter check. And the final thing I love about this system is since I as the DM am rolling that encounter dice behind the screen, no, I'm not talking about fudging. The players have no idea if an encounter is actually happening or not. So they'll set up camp for their long rest and decide who's gonna have the first shift and the second shift. Homebrew long rest rule coming in a second. Before I describe what actually happens during those watch shifts, and before I ask them, what do you talk to each other about? Because I always ask them that. You know, increase role play. I ask the whole group to make that encounter check, and I roll that dice behind the screen. And this is that really fun time as a DM where you get to poker face your group. And now the players have to sit back and patiently wait on me to describe what happens during this watch to see if anything happens. I really do love to make my players sweat. Moving on to number 2, Action Attunements. This was inspired by Jacob from XP to level 3. As soon as I heard him talk about this rule, it just made so much sense. I had to try it, and now it's all I do. If the group all feels good about it, like all homebrew DMs should, to attune to a magic item in Dungeons & Dragons, it takes 1 hour of spending time with that item. But what does spending time with that item mean? So now I have a magic item here, and I need to spend time with it. What does that look like? Do I hold it close to me? Do I look at it intensely? Meditate with it, but some characters wouldn't know how to meditate. It just feels strange and is an odd requirement to have an hour of time pass with an item and then it attunes. So hear me out on this one. For magical spell effects in Dungeons and Dragons, you're able to fight off or resist them passively. You see a group of bandits off in the distance and you want to cast Dominate Person on one of them. Even though they don't see it coming, they would still have to make that wisdom saving throw. And I don't know if this is a homebrew rule or not, but you can willingly fail any saving throw you want. So if someone's casting a spell at you, you can choose to fail for whatever reason you want. This now brings me to the action attunements. With this system, it only takes an action to attune to a magic item. And this feels way more realistic to me, that a magic item has this... I see magic items as having this power pulsing within them, reaching out to grant its power to someone and attune to them. So once you have a magic item, all you'd have to do is allow the magic item to attune to you. This just makes more thematic and visual sense to me. And it clears up any weird miscommunications, because I've had a player with a magic item that they have in their possession and they take a long rest, and then did they attune to it or not? Were they trying to? Did they want to? Does it automatically happen just if you have the item on you? But with this now, I take the item and attune to it. And to unattune to a magic item, this system follows the same mechanics that are already in the game also. Because homebrews that use and respect the core rules are just better in my opinion. So to unattune from a magic item, it takes 10 minutes, which is the same thing as a ritual. Now, I don't see this as you performing a ritual and it taking 10 minutes. I see this as, whether by choice or not, you taking the item, putting it away, leaving it, or giving it to someone else, and it takes 10 minutes to sever that bond that you've built with it. Which makes me think of a pretty cool example where one of my villains stole a magic item from one of my players and they had 10 minutes to get it back. But with the way the system is, it really opens itself up to some pretty cool gameplay. I had a precious artifact at the top of a pyramid during a huge fight where the players had to scramble up to try and get it. With the help of his group, the paladin was the first one to make it up and grab the item and attune to it instantly, as an action. As soon as he did that, I handed the card to him across the table to show him what it could do. And then mid-combat, he was able to unleash its divine wrath. Pretty sweet. And again, if you do use this system, this is just the base system, and you can tweak it from there. I encourage you to open your mind up to different attunement ideas and really think outside the box. Maybe they have to figure out certain triggers for it or go on an epic quest. Maybe there's an ancient relic that's been dormant for centuries and it takes longer than just one action. The player tries to attune to it and it doesn't work. What do they have to do? And we haven't even talked about cursed items. I've had a player get an item and put it in their bag, suspicious of what it did. I had the player make some secret rolls, homebrew video of mine coming up. And they eventually realized that they were attuned to this magic item, even though they never took that action to purposely attune to it. So all I'm saying is even with this homebrew, you can tweak the rules for unique situations. Okay guys, before we get into the final one here, I got a big announcement. I got 5 more rules to go, but guys, we are so close to 5,000 subscribers, which is crazy because I only started this channel 6 months ago. I have a huge giveaway for everyone planned that's going to go off during a live stream, but that's not it because I'm doing another giveaway for patrons only because I want to thank everyone who's made this possible, both my subscribers and the people that go that next level over on Patreon. But I don't want you to just blindly subscribe. If I've helped you in any way, go ahead and hit that button and let's see if we can get that 5,000. And once we do hit it, I'll be posting a video that following Saturday of a special 5K video. I have an idea that I think will be awesome for the community and I've never seen anybody do before. So if you are subscribed, make sure you turn on that notification bell so you don't miss out on all the time-sensitive stuff. Because in that video, I'll also be announcing the huge double giveaway. Okay, back to it. These next 2 are quick, but I think important. For number 3 here, this homebrew depends on if you actually hand out experience or use milestone. But which one you should use for which group is a whole video. If you actually hand out experience, here's what I do. Rules as written, the experience that you give out to your players is calculated by taking each individual monster and adding up how much experience they're individually worth separately. Add that all together and that's what your players get. For myself, that has never made sense. A basic example of this is 1 orc is worth 100 experience. 5 orcs would be worth 500 experience. But experience to me is literal experience in battle of how hard something is you've gone through. So if you fought 1 orc, 1-on-1, yeah, that'd be worth 100. And then you fought the second one, 1-on-1, yeah, okay, sure, another 100. But if you fight all of them at the same time, that's not the same. And the weirdest thing is I feel like the book actually contradicts itself in how you calculate an encounter's difficulty. If you're fighting 3 to 5 creatures, you add a ×2 modifier for how difficult it is, because it is harder. So those 5 orcs that are individually worth 500 with that ×2 modifier is now 1,000. So I would give my players 1,000 experience because that's the experience that they got in battle. It just makes more sense that way. Time out. If you want a whole video on this encounter difficulty stuff, I have a video next week where I go over how I use the CR system, or how I don't use it. Number 4 here is that lucky foot. Lucky feet. Now, I don't know what your stance is on this, and I really would like to hear your comment down below on if you feel like it's broken or not. But I feel like the lucky feet just feels bad to me. And I also feel the same way about the Portent class feature from Divination Wizards. But don't even get me started on Portent, because that's not important right now. Portent? Here's why I don't like the lucky feet. Everything's been building up to this big roll. The player rolls the dice, it hits the table, and it's a fail. Everyone at the table feels that gut-sinking dread of what's about to happen. Oh, but wait, I'm gonna use my lucky feet, I'm gonna re-roll. Oh, much better. Now what happens? And as a DM, I feel like the dice were telling a certain story, and this sabotaged that. And regardless of the result, all the tension and build up to this one moment is undercut by some feat that you can do 3 times a day. So instead of just banning it outright, because trust me, that's what I'd want to do, but I don't want to be that DM. So first of all, as with many things in my table, whether it's multiclassing or learning a new spell, they have to have some thematic reason of how they learn this thing, how they now have access to this feat. So as far as mechanics go, the only change I make is when that luck roll happens. Rules as written, they can see the result, and if they don't like it, use the luck point and re-roll it. But again, that's what feels bad. Let the dice tell the story. So all I do is change it to where they have to declare they want to use that luck roll before the roll. And this shouldn't change the times when they'd want to use it. If a character has the lucky feat, they'd want to use that luck for things that are really important to that character. And this doesn't take it away from that at all. If this is a big moment, you should know you want to succeed at this thing before the roll's made, instead of waiting until you get a bad roll, then doing it. This makes the player really choose what things are important to them. Important? Sorry. It's basically just giving yourself advantage on a roll that you choose. And if you're worried about what if you already have advantage, don't worry, I have an advantage stacking rule linked right here and down in the description. Basically what it is once you already have advantage and you gain another advantage, it doesn't just wash away, it just becomes an extra +2 that you add to the end of the roll. Time out, I have a brand new merch shop called the Dungeon Locker. I put some cool new shirts up there with our new logo. And I'm gonna be discontinuing our old logo, so if you wanna get that OG shirt, then this is your last chance. I also have a promo code DC10 that'll get you 10% off for the rest of the month. DC Dungeon Coach 10%. And speaking of other homebrew videos that I've already done, this leads me to the last 3 homebrew rules I got. For all 3 of these, I've already done full videos on, and if you're interested, they'll be down in the description, and I'll link them right here. If they sound interesting to you all, you should really check them out. Number 5 is my homebrew travel system I use to spice up travel at my table. Each of your players can pick from a list of roles. A few examples would be Defender, Scout, Navigator, and Utility, which can be whatever you want it to be. They each get a specific task that empowers them to really do that thing during travel. So throughout your travels, you can have different types of roles come up to spread around to your players. Or another thing I talk about is turning the entire travel into a skill challenge. And man, do I love me some skill challenges. It's been too long since I've done a video on that. I'm doing another one next month. But the other 2 ways I talk about travel in that video is nothing, which is where you just have your players arrive and not worry too much about travel, especially if it's low stakes and we just slow down the story. And there's travel encounter tables, because who doesn't love some tables? Number 6 is my homebrew full rest system. Rules as written, short rests take a full hour and long rests take 8. And at the end of a long rest, you just magically heal back to full. That has always just felt bad to me. And trust me, I don't run a super gritty game. So the quick and dirty here is a short rest is only a 10-minute catch your breath break. A long rest is broken up into 2 3-hour chunks for a total of 6 hours instead of 8. After that first 3-hour block is when you get half your hit dice back. And after the second 3-hour block is when your long rest cooldowns and spells reset, which also really cleans things up on how players keep watch. But in my version of a long rest, you don't just magically full heal and wipe away all your exhaustion stacks. If you want to heal back up, you actually have to use your hit dice, which I also like because it makes hit dice a more prevalent part of the game, because right now, it's really not. And if you really want to get back to full health, then you need to take a full rest, which cannot be done in the middle of a dangerous dungeon. You actually have to find some sort of safety somewhere. This is usually done in a town over the course of days, which also promotes downtime, which I've also done a video about. And my 7th homebrew here is how I handle multiclassing. Multiclassing rules as written is pretty straightforward. When you level up, you pick a class to gain a level in, one at a time. The most basic way of how I do it is once you've multiclass, those classes level up together. And whenever you level up, you pick and choose like a buffet which class features you want to take from. This leads to some awesome customization and really puts multiclassing in a much better place in my opinion. But I go over the whole thing and some potential other options in that video. So if you haven't figured out by now, I love me some homebrew. My goal is to truly be known on YouTube as the go-to homebrew DM. And trust me, I have a whole bunch more homebrew ideas on initiative, inspiration, more combat rules, and character creation ideas. But if you really want to see those, you gotta let me know. And if you've made it this far in the video, then thank you. You've already done that. YouTube can tell when people like stuff when they start the video and stay to the end. So if you usually do that with my videos, then thank you. I really do try and keep stuff going from beginning to end. But as usual, I'm gonna keep using this like system. If this video gets this many likes in the next 4 days, I'll do a follow-up video on one of those topics. I got 2 ways on how this community can have their voice heard on which videos I make. This one's when you guys share it around and like it to let me know you want more. And then there's my patrons who vote on multiple videos I make each month. So as usual, a big thank you to all you guys for voting on some pretty awesome videos. And again, all of these rules are in a really nice looking PDF document down in the description. And a big thank you to my squad over on Discord that make these documents possible. They're the ones who help me take all my videos, polish them off to give you guys those PDFs. And a big thank you to our channel sponsor, Never Ending, who's working on a new intro for us. Instead of that free app I had to use with that purple flame that comes out, it's gonna be huge. But their Kickstarter's still going on right now and they're just over halfway funded. They're an animation platform that lets you bring your stories to life using their simple tools. Check them out using my links down below. If you like what you see, think about supporting them on Kickstarter. So if you want to join the Dungeon Crew and help us get to that 5,000 mark, click right here. If you want to help in another big way, click right here for Patreon. Or if you want some more next level homebrew ideas, I have a class specific inspiration video right here. And there's this video. I don't even know what it is, but YouTube's recommending it to you right now. So until next time, stay creative and think outside that box. Peace.